What if you could lead more effectively and go home on time? Welcome to the Lightbulb. I'm Zoe Thompson, leadership and performance coach, and each week I bring you 3 practical insights from my work helping impact-driven leaders transform from reactive to intentional leadership so they can finish work on time and take guilt-free time off, creating success that feels as good as it looks. Let's jump in. Episode 29 and another bank holiday weekend, and it's another sunny one. Makes me very happy. Episode 29 and 3 light bulbs. These 3 light bulbs coming from the last couple of weeks because there wasn't an episode last week because the week was so busy. Just something had to drop off the list. So I'm covering off 3 light bulbs from 2 weeks of work. I'm still going to try and keep it within the 20-minute mark too. So let's get straight into it. Okay, light bulb 1. Now, I have been talking about this a little bit more recently because it's coming up in different conversations with different people, different industries, different levels of leadership, still the same conversation. And so whilst you might have heard me talk about it before, I am going to talk about it again because recognizing what the challenge is, raising our awareness, helps us to take action, helps us to do things differently, helps us to get different results. So what am I talking about here? Okay, what is she going on about? I'm talking about how we inadvertently train our team to need us, how being helpful, being supportive, being available, being accessible, great characteristics, great ways of showing up. Inadvertently, we are teaching and training our teams to keep coming to us. So on the days when we've got time, on the days when we've got capacity, on the days when we're having a great day, we don't mind. On a day when we're under pressure, we've got a deadline coming, we're back to back in meetings, we've got something that needs to be doing, we're not so welcoming. So it means that we are inconsistent in our approach. Sometimes we're more helpful than others. Every single time what we're saying to people is, you need to come to us. You need to run it by us. You need to let me do the final check. You need to make sure that I've seen it and approved it. So we then get frustrated, but it's something that we have created. So this is where I really want you to check in. Where are you asking your people to come through you or to you where perhaps it's not really needed? What do you need to let go of to make that happen? Where are your behaviors creating the unwanted behaviors from your team? Where do you need to recognize that you are enabling the thing that is really creating one of your key frustrations? This can be a game changer. Recognizing how you want to show up, how you can be supportive, how you can be accessible and available, but in a way that is more consistent and also creates capability within the team rather than the dependency. Recognizing where your behaviors that you think are helpful may not be helpful, because every time you solve it for them, you're teaching them to bring it to you. Every time you check it or you ask to check it, you're teaching them that maybe their judgment can't be trusted or that it needs to have your eyes on it. Every time you rescue them, you're teaching them that they need rescuing. So rather than building a very capable, self-sufficient, confident and resilient team that is able to problem solve within themselves or within the team, you're building a team that want to run everything by you. Whether that's for reassurance, whether it's for agreement, whether it's for validation, or whether it's for approval. Recognizing where you can change your behavior that will enable a behavior change within your team is going to shift so much, and it's really going to help you to be able to lead in the way that you want to lead. It's also going to help your team to show up in a way that helps them to build their credibility, build their capability, and build their confidence. So stop asking, how do I fix this? Start asking, who should be fixing this? Ask coaching questions. Ask them, what do they think? Don't tell them, here's what I would do. Ask them, what would you like to do? What approach are you thinking of taking? How are you reaching that decision? What information do you need to reach that decision? Ask more questions. There is absolutely no way you can take a week off if your team can't operate without you. So this isn't about a nice to have. This is one of the fundamentals of being an intentional leader. And if you want to be a leader that goes home on time, takes that week off, zero work, zero stress, zero guilt, this is the first step. Okay, that is the first light bulb. Second light bulb. This came up in the Elevate Your Efficiency program this week. So week 6, looking at boundaries. And this is a really important week. We spend weeks 1 to 5 looking at what's important, looking at what the priorities are, looking at how people want to show up, how they want to lead. When we get to week 6, we're exploring the boundaries that need to be in place to protect what is most important. And one of the participants on the program shared this week that someone had messaged them, said they needed an urgent conversation. 10 minutes. Have you got 10 minutes? Now, instead of dropping everything, which is what they normally would do, they held the boundary. They messaged back and said, not right now. I'm working on something that is a priority. However, here's a link to my calendar. If you want to book in 20 minutes, I would be more than happy to give you that time. Or if it's super urgent, if you can provide some information, I can delegate it to one of the team to contact you back and help you resolve it. 24 hours later, still not heard anything. That urgent thing had completely evaporated. It had landed on their desk as urgent. It had been described as urgent. By holding that boundary, the thing that had felt really critical at 9 o'clock the day before had either resolved itself or had been resolved by somebody else. So perhaps wasn't as critical or as urgent as they had made it out to be, and the individual had protected their time. So just because it comes across as urgent, just because it's somebody else's urgent, doesn't mean it's urgent for you. And you protecting your time, holding that boundary in place to say, this is my priority, this is what I need to work on, I can do this, but not like this, or maybe not me, or maybe not now, helps you to protect what's important and still be supportive. Because let's face it, and as they said, 10 minutes is never 10 minutes. 10 minutes is 20 minutes. If people say, have you got 2 minutes? You need 10. If they say, have you got 10 minutes? You need 20 minutes, if not 30 minutes. The interruption, you having to switch from one headspace to another, you having to get back into the flow, that's half an hour that they quite rightly identified has to be tagged on at the end of the day. That's what is contributing to them going home late. This is what needs to sit in their avoid category. So avoid time isn't laziness, it's not being dismissive, it's recognizing where your time and energy are being drained without a return on that investment. And absorbing other people's urgent tasks is one of the biggest avoid patterns that I see with leaders. Creating those boundaries to protect your ascend tasks and recognize what's an avoid task is a game changer. So before you respond, ask, is it urgent for me or urgent for them? And if you are currently working on a priority, if you cannot see that time as a gap in your calendar, then you identify where that gap is before you offer them help. It's another indication that that is intentional leadership. Lightbulb 3, picking up on the feedback workshop that we did this week. If you are a current client or a current membership of the leadership community, this is now available in the leadership resources for you to watch back. It's a full, jam-packed 60-minute workshop with information to help you reframe what feedback is so that you see it as more positive. It helps you with some tools to be able to give really effective feedback, and also some tools to help you ask for more specific feedback for your own development, especially for those of you who are in more senior roles and find that perhaps you're just not getting the feedback in the way that you did in more junior leadership roles. So Lightbulb 3 is around avoidance of feedback because it doesn't disappear. We know it snowballs. And this is what we talked about in the workshop. And we talked about what people find hardest about feedback. Is it giving it? Is it asking for it? Is it receiving it? Is it keeping it constructive? Unsurprisingly, people did say that, they feel that most people experience feedback as being something uncomfortable, something that has to be done, rather than something that is useful that they get to do. What we spent some time in the workshop exploring was how we can reframe feedback away from being a difficult conversation and more as a way to gain information and give information. And it's the gap between what somebody knows or skills somebody has or the action somebody takes into what knowledge they need to have, what skills they need to have, and what action they need to take. Often the gap between what someone intends and what actually lands. And when we hold back the information, the knowledge, the skills, the tools, we are holding back the thing that is going to help them to be even better. And if we soften it too much, or we're waiting for the right moment, or we're skipping those conversations, we don't just make it harder. Often the problem gets bigger. And we are not helping that person in the way that we think we are. It is not the kindness that we think it is. The kindness is in helping that person develop those tools, develop the skills and the knowledge to be a higher performer, to reach their full potential. That's what feedback helps them to do. And having that continuous feedback loop, the positives, the things they can do, and the way they can do things even better, helps people to show up. It helps people to feel engaged. It helps people to feel supported and invested in. So with the Gallup research, 85% globally are not fully engaged in work. And disengaged team members ask themselves 3 questions. Does what I do matter? Do I matter? Am I going anywhere? And when we give good feedback, we are answering all 3 every single time. We give good feedback. We are helping people to feel engaged. We are helping people to feel supportive. We are helping them to recognize what they do matters, that they matter, and where their development is going. The shift in how you think about feedback, coming away from it being a performance review that is once a quarter and more frequent, normal conversations. It doesn't have to be a formal one-to-one. It can be the conversations that you have each week. The more regularly you have feedback, the more comfortable everyone gets. You're giving it, then receiving it. The frameworks that I talked about in the workshop can help to give some structure to those feedback conversations. And taking a more coaching-led approach can often help us to identify what they've already thought about. Because let's face it, if somebody has done something and it hasn't landed as well as they wanted it to, they've probably already done a great deal of reflection. So we can use that to support them, to coach them, to guide them in those conversations. The aim is to call people up, not call people out. Just recognizing potential, not correcting behavior. Third part of the workshop that we covered was asking for feedback. So when you're in a more senior position, one-to-ones tend to shift to strategy, tactical updates, rather than your personal development. Now, you know what good feedback looks like because you're doing it with your team. And if you're not getting it, you may need to design this for yourself. In the workshop, I covered 2 ways to help you to prepare for your one-to-ones so that you can get more specific answers and more specific information from your line manager to help you with your personal development. Now, if you want to know more about that and you are not currently a client and you're not currently in the community, pop me a message and I can let you know how you can get access to that information. So those are my 3 light bulbs, 2 weeks worth, but it's been such a great 2 weeks. You know, we talk about stepping outside of our comfort zone. We talk about really stepping into what aligns for us, being more intentional about what we do and how we do. The last 2 weeks have really been that for me. Keep showing up, aligning what is important to you. Keep reflecting on how you want to show up, how you want to lead your own life, your own development. That self-leadership is so incredibly important. We lead by example. And self-leadership, for me, is fundamental. People see what we do. They see how we show up. And when we self-lead and we self-lead well, we're going to lead others well too. Those are my 3 light bulbs from this week. I hope you've all had a fantastic bank holiday weekend and have a fantastic week ahead. And those are your 3 takeaways for this week. Before you go, ask yourself, what's my light bulb moment from this? And now that I know what I know, What will I do differently? Choose one action, however small, and commit to it. That's how overwhelmed and reactive becomes aligned and intentional. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week on the next episode of The Lightbulb.